Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of The Lair of the Phoenix. I am James Phoenix. Today, we have a very special review to go along with a couple other videos we'll be doing later in the month. We're having ourselves a little of sort of a mini Scooby Doo month, if you will, and we're going to open it up with a very special little. I believe this was a direct-to-DVD adventure, if I'm not mistaken. Original movie entitled Scooby Doo Adventures: The Mystery Map. And what's unique about this is that, to my knowledge anyway, this is the first ever Scooby Doo puppet presentation done entirely with puppets, so that's kind of fun. Joining me to discuss this handy little puppet show, from the Mole Hole, it was his suggestion to do this, Chriz the Mole.
And hello.
Over there from the Shadow's Maw is Marcus Shadow.
Hello. And I believe this is the only puppet one ever made. And I believe Mole said it was a one-off thing, so they're probably not going to make another one.
Mm-hmm. No, anything's possible. Especially considering how much money they had to spend on puppets. And also joining us from the self-titled review channel that she likes to run, Anastasia Lazerbeam.
Hello.
Hello. So, Scooby Doo Adventures: The Mystery Map is effectively a full-on puppet show going through the Scooby Doo mystery. The puppets being in the style of the pup named Scooby Doo version of the characters. And effectively, Scooby and Shaggy find a treasure map in their triple extra large pizza with peanut butter, potato chips, pickles, and Scooby snacks. And proceed to follow the treasure map in an attempt to find the lost treasure of one Gnarlybeard the pirate. They run into a pirate parrot monster and the ghost of Gnarlybeard himself along the adventure, and have a little bit of fun. It's good stuff. I don't really have a format plan for this review, but I'll just go around. What did you guys think about the movie and the plot and whatnot? I think the characters are. It's pretty straightforward. It's the typical voice characters that you see in most of the current animated productions. Shaggy is voiced by Matthew Lillard. Frank Welker, of course, voices Scooby-Doo and Fred. We have Grey Delisle Griffin. I apologize, I got married. Grey Delisle Griffin voicing Daphne. And Stephanie D'Abruzio, I believe, is the voice of Velma. Along with the wonderful appearance of one John Rhys-Davies as the voice of Gnarlybeard the pirate.
Yeah, who I didn't know that was John Rhys-Davies until I saw the credits. I was like, wait, what? Also, I believe Stephanie was not the original or actual voice of Velma, but she was for this one because she was also the puppeteer for Velma.
Mm-hmm. I will know none of these people are the original voice actors except for Frank Welker, obviously.
Yeah, but they're the actual voices currently. And I think, was Grey Delisle not the original Daphne? I could be wrong.
No, she was not.
Okay, but they're the actual voices now, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
And I don't recall seeing Stephanie's name attached to Scooby-Doo to any Scooby-Doo thing except for this one.
No, I think she was new for this particular production.
She did a great job, though. I have to give her credit. Yes. She sounded perfect, and she did the puppeteering spot on for Velma.
Yeah, she did a very good job.
Yeah, personally, I like these. I liked how they sort of did it as 2 episodes of a TV show. Like, it literally splits down the middle, and I think it even has credits midway through, or at least a title card thing where it's going to swap, and then the next one follows on directly from it. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that.
I didn't even notice a break in between it at all.
Well, they unmasked Stu, and then they were home watching TV. That was kind of the break.
Yeah, but on the DVD of it, and also on the digital one, I also got to refresh myself before we went to watch this. At that exact bit, once they caught him and they go home and stuff, there's then a break in between, like, I don't know what you call it, like the eye catch cards, like when Dragon Ball Z used to do it with like the characters or something. It's like them dancing, and then suddenly it cuts to the other part, and then it's a new event, it's a new arc that just follows on, and I like that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard not to notice the break, Stace, because
I didn't notice any particular break in between like like that told me it was a new episode. I just thought it was like, okay, and then the next day, and then like that's what I kind of thought. I didn't see
Yeah, they
like,
didn't continue right on, but you could tell that where there's I wouldn't say a break, more of a lull.
yeah,
No,
like
there was a break because it was, like Mole pointed out, there's music and there was just random like eye catch cards and stuff until they set up this like the second act. It was like an act break. If you do it in terms of a play, it was like end of Act 1, and then now there's an intermission, and now we're back for Act 2 kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that, but okay.
Imagine if this was on Cartoon Network where you got them dancing with the eye catch cards. That'll be the advert break, and then it'll come back and it'll be the next one.
that's what I felt it was more like, you know, like except
Which splits it in half because the first one was all about catching him, then the next one's another one all about catching his sister. Which I like that because some Scooby Doo movies have been two before now and stuff like that, and I like that. Like I loved the Batman Scooby Doo one, which I have on DVD. More on that later this year, or later this month, I should say. But where it's two Batman movies in one. But I just like the idea of two episodes in one instead of just one big film.
yeah. At the end of the first one, when they caught him and stuff, and then it went to the eye catch, I was like, wait, is that the end? That can't be the end. It's way too early. And then it's like, no, we're back for Act 2. I'm like, oh, they split it up like a stage production. Fair enough.
Yep. Which I loved the little parodies as well, within like a little bit of satire of Scooby Doo itself. Like for example, every time they catch whenever they caught the two villains, it was, I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And then they point out, but you're a kid and you're meddling.
Yeah.
To which they're like, true. And I'm like, that's brilliant. I was like, that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that.
Indeed.
I also like the fun they had with it. Like, I know Stacy felt the same way. Like, Scooby Doo eating a Scooby snack and turning into a giant ball to break down the wall, or turning into a rocket to get off the pirate ship. It's like, that's awesomely fun. I don't know why. It's one of those things. I feel this one more so than some of the other Scooby Doo films you can watch with anyone of any age. Because I've watched it with like my little nephew and stuff like that, and I've watched it on my own and stuff like that because I got him for his Christmas and stuff like that. And every age group I know that's seen this, there's at least some element in there for them to like. Whereas like the new Scooby Doo films, they've walked away from some of the new ones on DVD, being like, I didn't really like that. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing to really grab them. But yeah, adults may watch that one and really like that one, and then there'll be other Scooby-Doo films where adults may hate it, but kids may walk away really, really loving it. This one seems to have bits for everyone, which I appreciate that, because Scooby-Doo spanned generations. This seems like the perfect place for all the generations to overlap.
I agree with that. It has a little bit something for everybody here.
Yeah, I always felt the pup named Scooby Doo was very good at that, and that this kind of took that a little bit further.
I love the pup named Scooby Doo. That was a great show.
I also loved Fred, where he kept having to make his suggestions right after someone's made them. Yeah. It's like that. I love her. He's like, yeah, just like I thought with the plane. It's like, yes, way to go, Fred.
I loved how sarcastic Velma was in this. I thought that was awesome.
That was good.
Yeah.
Very observant, Fred Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was very upset that at no point did he accuse it of being red herring.
I don't think they established that red herring exists in this universe because they didn't have a puppet for him.
I know, I'm just saying, it's effectively a pup named Scooby-Doo from everything that was established.
Yeah,
basically.
For the most part. I also kind of liked how they did the chase scene. I thought that was clever.
Yeah. I really appreciated that.
See, I would make the case for this one, like I mentioned before we went to record. I don't think it's entirely a pup named Scooby-Doo. I think they look like a pup named Scooby-Doo and it has elements, but then they brought in elements from the other Scooby-Doos, elements from like the other movies, elements from other thingies, like other cartoon series, and just blended them all together.
I agree with that.
Okay. Fair enough.
I will say they did a lot of things right with this one, but they, in my opinion, did some things kind of wrong, just or maybe not necessarily wrong, but just things I didn't like. But like I said, I like the characters. They got the voice actors, which was awesome and impressive. The characters looked right. The puppeteering was brilliant. The music was decent. It was serviceable for Scooby Doo. I'll give them that. I wasn't too fussed on like the song they used for the chase. It didn't quite feel like a Scooby Doo chase song, but it worked. I was a little disappointed they didn't use anything close to the actual Scooby Doo theme song. That was a little disappointing, especially if it's supposed to be for the Scooby Doo anniversary. I thought they would have worked it in there somewhere, and I was just a little disappointed they didn't work it in there anywhere. Like even as like maybe like a ringtone for Vilna's phone or something would have been kind of cool. But that one's just a little nitpick. The story was actually pretty decent in terms of they get this treasure map and they have to go find the treasure and mystery ensues. Okay, fair enough. That's a pretty straightforward story. Not one that's really been done in Scooby Doo, so cool. The villains in terms of who they are, kind of clever. The problem I had with this is, to me, the pacing was a little bit off. I don't know if I like the fact that they broke it up, because I think that kind of hurt the pacing of it, because I felt it was a little too fast, and things got wrapped up a little too quickly for my tastes. And personally, I felt some things should have been explained a little bit more, because, yes, I know Scooby-Doo is supposed to be about the absurdity and whatnot, but despite the absurdity, there's always been explanation behind the absurdity. There's been some sort of logic behind it in every iteration of Scooby-Doo that I've seen. And I know there's probably movies out there, and things of Scooby-Doo that I haven't seen that go a little more into the absurdity, more into the it's not going to be explained category. But just based on my experiences, this felt like they didn't explain enough, and they just threw stuff in there for the sake of plot convenience, which I'm like, I don't like that.
I don't think they needed to really explain a lot of stuff here, and they just kind of had fun with it, and you just kind of went with it. Because if you really wanted to tear apart every part of Scooby-Doo, then you're kind of missing the point. So, like, I don't know.
But I don't want to tear apart every part of Scooby-Doo. I just want it to make some semblance of sense. Because, like I said, at least for me, every episode of Scooby-Doo I've ever watched, and all the movies that I've seen, which I'll admit I haven't seen them all, at the end of it, I'm like, okay, that actually kind of made sense. And it's to me, Scooby-Doo's always been about the cleverness of the plot of the villain and of the mystery. And part of it might be because I'm a huge mystery buff. I love like mystery books and mystery TV shows and stuff. So I'm always looking into, what's the motivation of the villain, and how does it tie up in the end? How did things happen? And for me, Scooby-Doo's always done that for me. These are the things the villain has used. This is why the villain did it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but there's always been gaps
some things just felt out of place.
Yeah, but there's always been gaps in logic in Scooby-Doo. Example, how does Shaggy eat a sandwich larger than him, yet never gain weight?
Yes, and I understand that. I'm not saying everything needs to be explained, but I just felt that with this one, compared to all the other ones I've seen, there was so much that wasn't explained, so much that made no sense and shouldn't have happened, that I'm just like, it kind of lowered the experience for me. It hurt the experience for me. Whereas in other things I've seen, more has been explained. And I'm not saying you have to explain everything. I'm not saying there should be no gaps in logic, because yes, like you said, Shaggy being able to eat anything and still be rail thin. And a pup named Scooby-Doo, with Scooby-Doo eating Scooby snacks and turning into different things. Yeah, fair enough. Those are gaps of logic. Okay, fair enough. But when it comes to the mystery itself, I feel, and maybe it's just me, but I feel with the mystery itself, there shouldn't be as many gaps in logic, and I don't feel that there is in terms of the mysteries of Scooby-Doo. That the mystery itself has always been explained. There might be some small gaps in logic or some small things that kind of don't make sense, but for the most part in Scooby-Doo, they actually explain the mystery and the villain and the motivations of the villain, and I felt they failed to do that with this one. That they got the heart of Scooby-Doo right, but they failed on the mystery aspect of it, of the case and of the particulars of the case.
See, I feel that may be a little bit of nostalgia goggles, only because I've seen every iteration of Scooby-Doo from the originals all the way up to the new stuff. It's just come on, Mystery Inc. and all that. All in film, I've seen like nearly every single one of the animated films. I've seen all the live action films. I've seen every iteration of Scooby Doo. And even on the old original series, there was massive things that they left off on how they could do this.
There really was, because you'd be like, wow, that was a really roundabout way to fucking do it. Or
yeah, like the original ones, they had the Yeti that was hiding out in the ski resort, and the guy in question was a fat guy. He never liked skiing. He's never liked skiing. He's never wanted to learn skiing, and yeah, he was a monster that constantly skied.
Yeah.
And yet they never explain how he suddenly became to ski. And they do that all the time in Scooby Doo. There are loads going back from the original way up to now where they leave out massive gaps in logic, but you follow it because it's Scooby Doo, and it's not going to be like BBC Sherlock in terms of the awesomeness explanation. It's Scooby Doo. There's going to be massive gaps left off because it's more cartoon and kids won't care about all that stuff as much.
Which is fair enough. I don't know. I guess I just felt that they left off too much with this one. Like I said, I understand they leave things out or they don't explain some things. And you expect that with Scooby-Doo, but I don't know. I guess for this one, it just didn't feel like Scooby-Doo to me because they left out too much. They didn't explain enough for me. I was sitting there thinking, okay, most of what just happened made absolutely no sense in terms of like the villain motivation, because at least despite the fact that maybe certain things villains couldn't do or whatever, in my opinion, every villain had a proper motivation and a reason why they were doing what they were doing and why they had to involve Scooby-Doo's gang or why they had to, scare him off, whatever. I just felt with this one, at least in terms of the sister, she had zero motivation. And I'm like, you don't explain anything about why she's doing what she's doing aside from she's the kid's sister and she's looking for the treasure. Fair enough. So why go after the Scooby Gang? There's no point. At least I didn't see a point to it because they didn't properly explain anything.
I saw the point in that the Scooby Gang was now involved. They caught her brother, so she's probably going to want a little bit of revenge for him. And also the elements of she was trying to get the treasure, they had the map and all this other stuff. It was like she just didn't want them to catch her. So I kind of understand it from the typical Scooby-Doo standpoint.
Yeah, it was less about her getting involved with them and more about them getting involved with her. Because they're the ones that followed the map, found the red glowing X, and got shot into the pirate ship and everything else. They're the ones that found her. So they got themselves involved with her. She was just trying to find the treasure. So once they got themselves involved with her and had that map back, she had to chase after them.
No, because she laid the trap for them. She involved herself with them. If she hadn't even laid that trap, because obviously the treasure wasn't there, so obviously either, as Mo pointed out, either the map was fake or they just failed to, or she was just being really stupid. It's like, okay, if the map only leads to some 21st century device that shouldn't have existed in Gnarly Bird's time anyway, but hey, it's Scooby-Doo, we can get past that. If it only leads to that, and you already have a ship, you know what's on the island, why the fuck bring attention to yourself? Why lay this elaborate trap to bring attention to yourself? You're just asking to get caught at that point. And especially if you know the reputation of this group, don't put yourself in their crosshairs. Don't draw undue attention to yourself. You have the real map. You know where the treasure is. Just go fucking get it and leave, and they'll be never the wiser. Because obviously they don't know where the actual treasure is, and obviously the map they have doesn't lead to the treasure. It's like, what's the point in making yourself known? There's no point. There's no reason for that. They're not harming you in any way. They're probably not going to catch you because they don't know the existence of this supposed other map. So it's like, okay, they might figure out the map is a fake, or they may figure out that, okay, the map doesn't actually lead to the treasure. Fair enough. Where do they go from there? They have nothing else to go on at that point. By the time they figure everything out, which they probably will because Scooby-Doo, and that's fair enough because they're that smart, they'll eventually figure everything out. But by that point in time, you'll have the treasure and you'll have gone. I just don't see the point. I just don't see why she would involve herself with them. There was literally no point for her to do that at all in the context of this story and of how they laid it out. And that's what I mean by they didn't explain anything.
It was her brother, and she already wanted to, she probably wasn't going to share the treasure with him anyway, so that's one less person she got to share it with, and she got pissed off that the Scooby Gang involved themselves with the brother, and now she's like, gotta keep them off my tail, because once you're on the family, it's only a matter of time till they figure out, everything about him and eventually her.
Not Really, you're giving the Scooby Gang way too much credit for that.
Plus,
Okay, she didn't want her brother to get it. Fine. He's in fucking jail. He's not gonna get it. Now tell me again why she needs to get involved instead of just take the treasure and leave.
why would he be in jail? He's like a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid.
He's a kid. We don't know if this. He's had a job and stuff like that. So I'd assume he's a first-time offender. He'd be out. He'd be out in a short amount of time. But there's also the element of she was working with that archaeologist woman, so I also get the sense that she wanted to find the treasure, not to keep it all for herself, but also to prove something to her.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Scooby Gang were proving that they were better than her to her. So it's like, well, if the Scooby Gang are proving they're better to the archaeologist than her, she's feeling passed up and stuff. So it sort of gives her that edge to just try and get rid of them, so she looks like number one to the archaeologist.
Which makes no sense if they have a false map and she knows where the real treasure is. Just by virtue of her finding the treasure itself, would that not make her better in the archaeologist's eyes?
How did you find the treasure? And that in itself would inherently, the fact she found it and they couldn't, means she must have known exactly where that was, because you do not get that lucky.
Right.
Which means that would
In which
reveal
case,
to everyone all the stuff she'd set up.
True.
So she wanted to scare them away so people would think the map was still real, so that all the work she does, people think, oh, you actually solved it yourself. You're a great archaeologist.
And if that's the case, they should have explained that at the end, because at the end of every Scooby Doo that I've ever seen, that's one of the things Velma explains. She's all like, okay, this is who it is, this is why, this is how they did it, this is why they did it. Yeah, some of the things they get aren't explaining some of the materials or whatever, but that exactly what you just explained is exactly what Velma explains at the end of every episode and movie of Scooby Doo. Of this is why she had to do this, or this is why he had to do this, this is why they had to work together. Okay, fair enough, that makes sense. It may not be 100% explained, but at least she throws an explanation out there. This one had no explanation of villain motivation. The only thing Velma ever explains is, how did you know it was me? It's like, okay, yes, that's interesting. Now tell us why she did it, because I want to know why she did it. The why is almost as important, if not more important, than who. You can't have a mystery and not have a motivation. That's basic mystery. And that every Scooby Doo has a motivation.
Because they wanted a cool movie and a villain and characters in it, and to make it awesome and funny.
No.
Yep.
No, it didn't feel like it, because they didn't explain anything. They didn't explain at least the motivation of why she had to involve herself, why she did this. Okay, fair enough. You know, and like I said, every Scooby-Doo does that, and this is the only one I've seen so far that's failed to explain anything. They failed on the mystery part. They failed on the ending of the Scooby-Doo because Velma explained almost nothing.
Yeah, this one is more comedy and fun than the other Scooby-Doos. Thus, that element gets played up like mad. But it's like, for example, who here likes Batman Begins?
Me?
I do.
Anyone? Oh, really? You like that one? The one with the world's greatest detective who doesn't detect anything? Because a different motivation for the character of a different universe and how it's structured with what elements they were playing up. They were playing up more the fun and the comedy for this one than they were the mystery, which totally works. And they did explain some stuff, like I said, like the archaeologist and stuff. The reason I got that sense was because she pretty much says that exact thing herself to the archaeologist who stood right next to him.
She said what to the archaeologist?
She's basically explaining that she wanted to do this to try and prove herself to her. And the archaeologist was like, yeah, well, I was just on a date with this guy, and it's the lighthouse guy who seemed creepy the whole movie. So, yeah. Honestly, I thought he was going to be revealed to be the parrot. Then the second he was innocent, I was like, okay, he's not the parrot. He's not going to be the second villain. I'm not going to fall for this again.
See, because the only motivation I got from her is when they outright asked her, like who, well, not asked her, but when she mentioned that the first guy was her brother, I was like, oh. And she mentioned, yeah, I'm his sister, and we're the descendants of Gnarly Beard the Pirate, so the treasure actually belongs to us, so that's why I'm trying to find it. I'm like, okay, fair enough. That's why you're trying to find the treasure. That doesn't explain why you got yourself involved. And that's one of the things that Scooby Doo always explains. Like I said, they don't explain anything, but the base things they always explain are basically figuring out how you figured out who it was. Although I kind of like the fact that Velma figures it out and doesn't 100% explain it, where in this one she 100% explained how she figured out who it was, which I'm like, okay, well that's fine. But Scooby-Doo always explains at least a little bit of the motivations of the villain, a little bit of why you're doing what you're doing and why you had to get us out of the way. Because that's a question they always bring up in almost every Scooby-Doo. And it's usually Fred who brings it up, I think. Either Fred or Shaggy always says, okay, that's well and good of why they're doing this and why they need to get this or that item. Why the hell did they try to take us out of the picture? And Velma turns around and says, well, because of this. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. Okay. And I always love that about Scooby-Doo, that it makes you think. It doesn't make you think too hard, but it makes you think when they explain at the end. You're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think it was more, like I said, like alternate universe and how they've set up this thing. And like I mentioned, like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises played up more the fighting, the stealth, and all that aspects of Batman. Completely downplayed the detective part of the world's greatest detective. This one is like the same type of thing. If they downplayed the mystery aspect to up the fun and the friendship and the just craziness and comedy, which worked. It does work. That sometimes works in iterations.
I'd also say, like I said before in the other one, when each world sets up its own kind of universe and what it does and what the characters allow and everything. Well, this one has its own little, logic bubble here where everyone else is in their own, world of, all the iterations of Scooby-Doo, and that's what this one was.
Yeah.
But Mole, I think they failed in that because with the pup named Scooby Doo, that's what they did. They heightened the comedy and stuff, and it works because that show is immensely funny. But they still have the basic formula of Scooby Doo. They downplay it a little bit and focus more on the comedy, which is how you should do it. But with this one, I got the sense they maybe tried to do too much or be too much, because you say they downplayed the detecting and stuff, and I have to disagree with you on that, because the way that Velma, when she explains how she figured out who the person was, that's like Sherlock Holmes level of deducing who the person is. That's Sherlock Holmes level of reading a person. I'm like, and you're telling me they took away the detecting? I don't think so.
It would be, except for when she finds out that Stu, whatever he was called, was the guy that did the first one. The third object was something we never saw him use. And she goes, oh yeah, that was his as well. How did you know this was his? It was never said that was his. They just downplayed that and the motivations and stuff to get up the comedy. And the pup named Scooby-Doo defense doesn't really work, because that still tried to be Scooby-Doo as kids. And they upped the comedy. This isn't called a pup named Scooby-Doo, The Adventure of the Mystery Map. It's just called Scooby-Doo. It's trying to be its own thing.
And also, I think this took, like you said, the multiple iterations of multiple Scooby-Doo. So it's not just a pup named Scooby-Doo, even though the puppets are a pup named Scooby-Doo. It's like multiple universes.
I'm not saying this is trying to be a pup named Scooby-Doo. I was using that as an example of taking Scooby-Doo and playing up the comedy and downplaying the detecting a little bit and doing it right. Because that one I felt was far more comedic than the more adult Scooby-Doos, especially the more recent ones, the more modern ones. I mean, all the Scooby-Doos are funny, don't get me wrong. It's Scooby-Doo, it's got to be funny. But pup named Scooby-Doo, like you said, it was more kids, it was more for kids and stuff. And so therefore they played up the comedic aspects, with the whole red herring stuff and just, Scooby-Doo turning into various objects when he's eating Scooby snacks, stuff like that. Fred being a total idiot. That's fair enough. Playing him up as the stupid jock, fair enough. And they did that beautifully. And they still had, like I said, the basic structure of Scooby-Doo. And they chose which elements of that basic structure to play up. That's how you do varied adaptations of a basic structure. In this one, I felt they got the basic structure wrong. And to me, that kind of ruined the experience for me when they didn't even have a basic understanding of what it is they were trying to do. At least that's the feeling I got.
I think they did, because they kind of set their own rules from the very beginning.
Which like I said, it's fair enough. Like I said, I got the sense that they were just doing their own universe and they were just playing up other aspects and downplaying the other one. Because the pup named Scooby-Doo didn't really downplay the mystery. They still had the mystery. they just upped the comedy, which this one just downplayed that one in favour of the comedy and stuff because it was fun, because it's like puppets, and it's like, okay, that's kind of funny. If this was meant to be more like a comedy and stuff, with like less of the actual mystery, just the mystery as sort of like a plot convenient thing just to move it forward and get to the other comedies.
Which is fine, and I'm not complaining about the fact that they didn't do much in terms of solving the mystery. That's fair enough. You play it more of the comedy. They don't solve the mystery as much, fair enough. You still have to explain it at the end. I'm sorry, but for me, you have to explain it at the end. You don't have to explain the whole thing, but you have to at least stay true to the basic premise of what you're trying to do. And part of the basic structure is you at least explain a couple parts at the end, just a little bit. But throw something out there. The fact that they threw nothing out there and took away a huge part of what the basic structure of Scooby Doo is just made it feel not like Scooby Doo to me.
Yeah, which I was saying that, like I said, to me, it worked because they played up the other aspects of Scooby Doo that haven't really been played up to this degree before. Because whenever they played them up on other stuff like Pup Named Scooby Doo, they always kept the mystery. This one just focused on the other aspects, which that's always fun to do. It's like that's the reason Elseworld comics sell. That's the reason Ninja Turtles has had various adaptations and stuff over the years, is because some people, like, for example, I may not have liked the 80s Turtles. However, some people like that. It completely downgraded Shredder to being almost a joke and stopped them really being ninjas.
True.
But some people like that. And it's like, which, like I said, while I don't like it, I can understand some people may like it. And I'm like, this is an alternate universe. I can get behind it. I had fun with it, and I liked it. And like I said, to me, it worked fine.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not like they're changing the characters at all, or who they are, or how they operate, or they really didn't change anything about Scooby-Doo, except they failed to explain stuff, and that just irked me. The fact that they kept everything as it is, they made it Scooby-Doo, they played up the comedy, which is fair enough, they downplayed the actual mystery solving, which is fair enough, I can get behind that, but just the fact they opted not to explain anything, I'm just like, no, that's part of what Scooby-Doo is you explain it. Especially if you're going to downplay the mystery part, explain it at the end a little bit. Throw some explanation out there if you're not going to have them actually solve the mystery like they would in actual Scooby-Doo, which is fair enough. Then at least explain it, because that's part of what Scooby-Doo is. It's all, to me, a huge part of what makes Scooby-Doo fun is the explanation at the end of, okay, now you get to see the writers and the creators' thought process of this thing, and it makes the characters smart, and it makes them who they are. And especially if you're going to downplay the whole detective aspect, you got to explain it at the end. And the fact that they didn't explain it, I'm just like, no, you failed. But I don't know what Jim thinks because he's been silent.
Yeah, I was about to say, which is fair enough. What does Jim think?
Personally, I liked it a lot. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but it was one of those things where, it was just supposed to be funny. It wasn't intended to make sense. The explanation was just that, okay, they wanted to find Arlie's treasure because they were his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids, maybe. That's really all the explanation. That's really all the explanation that was needed. And, Stu got caught, so his sister thought she was going to pick up where he left off, and she wasn't going to get the treasure, which is fair enough.
Which I have to say, every time the sister said that of, we're his great-great-great-great-grandkids, maybe, I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. I don't know why. The way she delivered the line of maybe, it's like, that's funny as fuck. And it's not even like they know they're grandkids. They're just like, oh, fuck it, we might be, so why not?
Yeah.
That's really all the explanation that I needed. I got it. Their motivation is, hey, we're the new generation of fucking pirates and do that shit.
Yeah, so
which may be the new generation of pirates.
Yeah, they don't even know.
Which is fair enough, and that's great motivation for why they want the treasure. Again, my complaint was for the second character, for the sister, because the brother didn't really need motivation because it was there. But for why she even thought it necessary to get herself involved with Scooby-Doo gang when they were really no threat. The brother, fair enough, they set that up nicely. They set that one up beautifully of why he had to, because they had the map, he wanted the map back, so he had to make his presence known. Fair enough. That's basic Scooby-Doo motivation. I can get behind that. But they gave her zero motivation for involving herself with them. There was, based on what they presented in the story, there was no reason for her to get involved. And that's, like I said, one thing they always explain at the end. It's one thing Velma always explains is, why did the villain feel the need to involve us? Why did they, feel the need to scare us and try to, make us fuck off? Every Scooby-Doo has it.
Because they got her brother taken away by the cops and probably thrown in a juvie for a little while, and she was trying to carry on the family legacy of proving that she was better than her brother, that she could bring home the treasure. That's called.
So wouldn't that not have helped her getting her brother out of the way?
I think she wanted to prove she was better than her brother, like Jim mentioned. Because also, if she gets involved with the Scooby Gang, she can prove she's better than her brother by being the one to actually beat the Scooby Gang.
Yep.
And also, they have to involve the Scooby Gang because that's the name of the title, Scooby. Boom.
Which is fair enough, and any of these explanations are plausible. Again, my complaint is the fact that they didn't explain it. That's my complaint. I don't care what the possible explanation is. They didn't explain it, so it's just all speculation at this point.
Which, again, we mentioned, we got your point. We were just saying our point on why we liked it.
Yes, it's called the producers making the assumption that the viewer has half a brain and can piece this together the way we have done in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Kids today, despite how a lot of the crimes for kids today thinks that they're really dumb, stupid people, they are actually not. They can figure this crap out. So.
And that's fine, but Scooby-Doo was never meant to be that. And like I said, I don't know, it just took away from the experience for me, the fact that Velma didn't explain it. And I'm like, so you give her basically Sherlock Holmes level intellect, and she doesn't explain why they're after you. Okay.
But she did. She pointed out that, okay, we know it's Shirley because she had this, and this, and, she was trying to get the treasure back, and they got involved in the treasure hunt because they followed the first map, which led to that X, and ended up finding her.
I don't think this needs any...
But again, I maintain that they didn't find her. She laid a trap for them, so she for purposes unknown, there's only speculation and inferences, but for purposes unknown, she involved herself with them because she laid a trap for them. She didn't have to be there with the pirate ship to wait for Shaggy and Scooby to stand on the X to get launched into the pirate ship. She could have just gone to get the treasure. But no, she made a choice to get involved with them. And my point is, they gave Velma this Sherlock-level intellect. They even flaunted it with this is how I knew it was her. But then they take away the basic Velma-level intellect from any and every Scooby-Doo ever made of, this is why she felt the need to get involved with us.
Well, that's not
Every
true.
Scooby-Doo does that.
That's not true at all.
What do you mean?
Have you seen Shaggy and Scooby get a clue? Have you seen every animated film? Have you seen all the live-action films?
Yes.
She doesn't do it in the live-action films.
Boom.
She doesn't do it in a Shaggy and Scooby get a clue. She's not even around for the 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
Although to the film, she doesn't know. Velma's not always the one to do that. She does that now and again, but that's more of the assumption and, like I mentioned earlier, nostalgia goggles. Because if you go back and watch the original Scooby-Doo, she doesn't do that all the time.
Really doesn't.
Well, she does it when it's necessary, because a lot of the villains, it's painfully obvious why they got involved, because, let's face it, the kids are there and they're about to stop him from committing the crime. To me, this one was less obvious to the point that it needed that explanation, because from where I sat, there was no reason for her to get involved with them. There was zero reason. She was about to get what she wanted without any interference from them. It's not like they were going to stop her from getting it, because they didn't even know where the treasure was, and she obviously did. It's like, what's the fucking point? This one needed an explanation.
I would make the case where you say she doesn't if it's painfully obvious. Me, Jim, and Pew all found it painfully obvious that it was because of her brother.
I think this point does not need to be discussed any further.
No, that's not. Usually, stuff like that is explained in Scooby-Doo when it's something as contrived as, or not contrived, but when it's something that's like, oh, she's doing it for this other character that we introduced earlier in the story. They usually explain something like that. But if it's something like, this guy's trying to commit a crime, and through our actions we would have stopped said crime and got him sent to jail, that really doesn't need to explain. That pretty much explains itself of, well, I have to get them out of the way, otherwise I can't complete my mission. That's usually the motivation for most of the out-and-out criminals in Scooby-Doo. It's the ones that aren't out-and-out criminals, the one that have ulterior motives that aren't necessarily doing it for the crime, they're doing it for other stuff. That's usually the one that has to be explained, because if you look at Scooby Doo in those instances, the reasoning behind why that particular villain has to involve themselves with Scooby Doo and the gang, the Mystery Inc. gang, isn't as painfully obvious, because their motivation for why they're doing the supposed crime isn't as obvious, because they're not technically a criminal. Just like in this one, she's not technically a criminal. She's just trying to get something back that she feels is hers. And okay, yes, there's a very tenuous connection of, okay, she's the sister of the person they caught before. That still doesn't explain why she felt the need to get involved with them. And usually in those instances, that's when Velma, and that's, in my opinion, why Scooby Doo is such a smart property. It's such a smart show and movies most of the time, at least the ones that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them. Yes, you're right, I haven't seen them all, but it's because they will have the characters ask the questions that the audience themselves would be asking. They'll have like Fred or Shaggy at the end be like, okay, I get why this person felt the need to commit this crime or whatever. Why the hell did they get involved with us? And Velma's like, oh, well, that's because of this. And it's like, okay, well, you've explained it. Excellent. And that makes sense. Okay, fair enough. But this one, they didn't explain it. And I didn't feel there was anything out and out, in your face that this is why she felt she had to get involved with them. I never felt she ever had to get involved with them.
Which, like I said, it's fair enough. We've all agreed to disagree, because we all thought it was obvious. You didn't, which is fair enough. And I know Pew's getting a little annoyed with debating the same topic. And I think we're just going around in circles at this point.
Yeah,
so
I think we should move on.
Did you have anything else to add, Jim?
No, I think that was about it. Like I said, when Shaggy and Scooby ended up on the ship, I thought it was because Darth needed the map, but maybe I was wrong. But anyway,
Did anybody think Velma's blinking was weird? Because that's the only thing that that was weird for me, because the puppets. But I mean, it took me out of it. It was just weird, but it was also kind of funny. Like, it wasn't weird, like I don't think that should be there. It was just weird, like, hey, look at that, and then it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I'll admit, there's loads of stuff where they just had fun with the puppet and the dialogue. Like I said, I loved the line of maybe, which was funny, and I loved Daphne with line up for inspection and all that she was going to places like, well, thank you. And I'm like, I don't know why, that's just funny. No, it wouldn't be as funny for a cartoon, but for a puppet, they seem to know which aspects work to make a puppet funny. And I'm like, that just works.
Yeah. And yeah, I originally thought that too, Jim, until I realized, wait, the map led to the trap, so the map really doesn't lead anywhere. Why would Gnarlybeard need the map? Okay, this is ceasing to make sense. But I'll go with it. It'll be explained, because it's Scooby Doo. They do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would make the case that could be a trap, or then again, it might not be.
So what, that was set up by Gnarlybeard in hopes that there would be some sort of vessel out in the water at the time that anyone would come to that place? That's kind of stretching.
Unless that's where he parks his boat.
Yeah, he might have had the ship anchored there, and Shirley might have just found the stupid thing, and maybe, because I believe she turned them into slave labor, so maybe she needed them to get the ship to wherever it was going to the island. That's
a possibility too. Although it's not like they fixed the ship; they just cleaned it. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
for all you know, they were rigging the yardarms and everything off screen. You don't know.
True. Which I will say, personally.
Apparently, according to you, a little girl isn't capable of lifting or doing any manual labor. So how she would have run that ship by herself, I don't know.
That's not what I said. That's what Mole said.
No, Mole said that she would be incapable of lifting a giant chest filled with gold bricks, which adult men can't really lift big chest filled with gold bricks. It's called gravity and weight. I personally am a grown man. I couldn't lift a chest filled with gold bricks.
And also angle and distribution, because things lower than you are often harder to lift, whereas if you're lifting it higher, it's easier.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Which is also why if you watched any of the WCW matches, whenever they did like the title in a pole match thing, they kept falling out the box. Almost like it was too heavy to be sustained by hanging there. Damn WCW Vince booking, but still.
Nah.
Is it time for our final verdicts?
I believe so. I think we've gone around long enough on this.
Okay. Which order do you want to go in, almighty host?
It matters not. Whoever would like to go first can. I am not picky.
Which I will point out, James was the original Birdman before that new film that just hit the cinema ripped him off. Just saying.
If I'd actually seen Birdman, I probably would have got that joke.
It's the fact James is a phoenix
And
and
it's like a
fair
bird.
Birdman. That's all you need to know. You just need to know the word Birdman and phoenix.
Yeah, pretty
Fair enough.
much.
I thought you were referencing something about the character himself. Fair enough.
No, just the fact that it's a bird and I'm a phoenix. Pretty
Fair
straightforward
enough.
joke. Because I don't think anybody
approve
has
of
actually seen that movie. So
Well, you couldn't say that at least half of that.
I will do. I haven't seen it yet, but I do have it set to be delivered.
I have the DVD sitting right over my desk there. I hope to watch it at some point before the end of the weekend.
I do want to see that movie. I heard it's quite good.
Which,
Indeed.
for the final verdicts, then I'll say this was a budget release.
Yes.
It was like £5 in the shops over here, which that's normally saved for like 30-minute specials like Shrek Holiday Bells
Mhm.
and stuff
Yes.
like that.
It should be noted. It should be noted that over here it was a. No, I'm gonna say it was a direct-to-DVD release exclusively in Walmart.
Yeah, it was. It's also worth noting if you buy it on the store from PSN, like I purchased it today. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I will do. You also get Scooby Doo and the Spooky Games for free.
And I will say, I would just say quickly, I did love that, and I thought that was a much better Scooby Doo than the actual feature. And
Yeah,
it's
fair
short.
enough.
It's like 25 minutes or 20 minutes, like an episode long. It was really good.
It
Which
should
is
also be
fair enough,
noted. It should also be noted if you have the actual DVD that was sold at Walmart, which I believe this is. It did come with 2 bonus cartoons on it. The
It did.
Backstage Rage episode of the original Scooby Doo, Where Are You, and the RoboPup episode of Scooby Doo.
Nice.
I was gonna say it did. I know that my nephew's got the DVD. 'Cause I got him for Christmas. He watched it with me. It was awesome. And now I've purchased it digitally on PlayStation myself earlier today. Which, yeah, like I said, a budget release. I feel we can't be as harsh on this as we are on like a full-priced title that comes out on DVD because it's like a third of the price. At least for me it was. And I'm like, okay, so weighing up all of that stuff plus the bonuses it gives you on PlayStation Plus, in my opinion, this film was just fun. It knew it was fun. It knew it wasn't going to be serious. It just loved everything it was doing. I'd say heavily, check this film out. Buy this film. You will not be disappointed. This film it's fun. It's great, it's cheap, and you get a bonus depending on where you buy it or what version. You get different bonuses. Totally check it out. It's worth it.
And if you really feel like owning it, but you would like to quickly stream it, I will note that via the newly added movie viewing abilities on YouTube, it's type it into YouTube and watch for $3.99.
Yeah.
Worth
Or
it.
if you want to stream it, you can just buy it on the PS4.
That too. Not everybody has PS.
Or Amazon or any other streaming service. I would assume it's probably on Netflix as well.
Netflix doesn't.
I don't know about
Netflix, at least here, doesn't do purchases.
They put it on Netflix and
Rent it though.
it's
Yeah,
at your library. Get it at your library.
Yeah, I said
that too.
That's where Stacy and I got it. Get your local library. It's free.
Yeah, so I was saying I don't know how Netflix works over there entirely, but I know over here Netflix is only the streaming section, so you can't rent or subscribe. You can only get the stuff that you would get with your streaming package. There is no rentals. Although Amazon does let you do that.
You know,
Yeah,
over here there's two Netflix options. You can pay $8 a month for rentals, for DVDs through the mail, $8 a month for the streaming, or $16 a month for both.
Or you can pay $9.99 a month and you can have no Scooby Doo stuff, but you can get to see such riveting past promos as Great Callie and Umaka going one-on-one on the microphone. Check it out today.
I would probably facepalm if they actually had that on there.
I would love it.
As like a WWE original special or something, I'd be like, wow.
You don't remember that Monday Night Raw?
No.
That was on one of the old Raws where Callie and Umaka actually spoke, and no joke, the dialogue consisted of I mean, I believe, or I can't be fully accurate, but I believe it was then followed by a damn. And that was it. And I'm like, that's genius. They didn't even bother with subtitles. Although subtitles would have made that awesome.
Yeah.
And what would have made it more awesome is if they had somebody who is if these two guys are back here, they're talking to each other, and they had somebody who was a known smartass like Jericho or Edge and Christian just holding up subtitle cards as they were talking, like they were writing them as they were talking and then holding them up.
Yeah, that would have been awesome as well. But how about one of yours final verdicts?
Alright, well, mine, since I got this for free, so I can't beat that. It was at the library. And came on one disc. Boom, easy, pop it in. It was fun. I loved it. It just kind of blew my mind and made me just want to accept everything about it. I love the whole frickin' rockets and Scooby snacks because that really felt like, I can see that happening. I can see like I was using like video game logic in my head. Like it was like a power up or something because like I played the SNES Scooby snacks and that would always help you out. And that just felt right. When he like transforms it when he eats the Scooby snacks, because like fuck your Scooby snacks, you got your own brand, you deserve it, and something awesome should happen.
I take it you've never seen a pup named Scooby Doo then?
I have.
Yeah, I love
named
how
Scooby Doo logic, which I loved. I was like, yes, they took the transformations.
Like he fully like transformed, like legitimately like he did transform. He just didn't like make a Scooby like outline by changing his shape. He was like, boom, magic, transform into a ball. You're not like Scooby trying to make the shape of a ball. You are a ball. Like,
yeah, which I was like, I loved how they looked too. Like that ball was Scooby's face and the tongue out as it rolled was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was just like wonderful fun. You could be 5, you could be 25, and you'd still like it. I would give this like a 9 out of 10 because it was just amazing.
Fair enough. Like I said, they did most of it right. They got the characters right. They got the voice actors back, which again was awesome. And I was actually a little surprised they did it, but I guess it's for the anniversary, so why not? They got Frank Welker to come back as Scooby and Fred. I'm like, come on, wow. But and then of course,
what do you mean come back?
Well, come to this production as.
It's a Scooby-Doo production. He is in every Scooby-Doo production as Fred and Scooby. That's not new. That's expected, highly.
Was this an official Scooby production, or was it one that was licensed by, like, Hanna-Barbera and the Scooby company?
Warner Brothers Productions.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
There was another production company they were affiliated with that I think handled the puppetry creation and puppetry portion of it, but it was a Warner Brothers production.
Although, as I keep mentioning, I believe I'm not entirely sure. Jim will be able to look it up. I don't think he was the voice of Scooby in Shaggy and Scooby Get a Clue because none of the voices matched with that. Like Shaggy sounded fucking weird, Scooby sounded weird. It looked like ass, and it just was ass. God, I hate that cartoon.
Get a Clue. That was kind of like Lobotomy, so for a Scooby series. So
I need to check that one out then, just because it sounds terrible. And it's like, okay,
No,
at least.
are you familiar with the premise of that show?
You can tell me later. Let me finish. But the production values were great. The sets were awesome. The puppets looked great. The puppeteering was spot on. Like I said, the plot was actually a good plot. It was a good Scooby-Doo plot. The villains were pretty cool. Like I said, my only complaint was just that huge gap in not necessarily a gap in logic, but that the fact that, like I said, to me, that one part just didn't feel explained to me, and it took me out of the Scooby-Doo experience. And it's not like I was looking for some like masterpiece or anything. I was looking for it to be serious. I knew it was going to be dumb fun because it's a puppet show, so I was just looking for it to be fun. But even in that, and maybe
Pew?
like.
yep.
Pew, can you mute your microphone? We keep getting sounds and voices coming through it.
Weird. Okay.
It was like a noise. I don't know what it was, but it kept cutting Marcus off.
If there's a voice, it means there's somebody else in this apartment with me, and I need to look out.
Well, fair enough. It was just like that. It was just like a not type. It was like a weird noise. I don't know if it was a voice, and it sounded like an echoey TV or something.
Okay, that's weird. I just got freaked out for a second. And,
Oh,
like,
hang on.
I better be home alone because nobody else should be here.
I think I figured it out.
What?
You're not using your headset again. When I
No.
speak, I'm coming through your end. When Marcus was speaking, he kept coming through your end.
Alright. Sorry.
It's echoing. I can hear it.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, like I
And
said,
what
I
a
guess.
perfect ending to the Scooby Doo review, and I just solved a mystery.
Boom.
There you go.
Very true, and I will also say for the record, no, in that show, Scooby-Doo was actually voiced by Frank Welker. According
Okay,
to Wikipedia, anyway.
Okay, he did a weird voice, but back to Marcus.
That show was ass anyway, but continue.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess just to me, part of the Scooby experience is that explanation. So to me and for me, it just when the ending came around, I was like, "That's it," and I was like, okay." I don't know. Just to me, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be because I heard so much good stuff about it. Like it was going to be awesome, and it's like that was kind of a letdown at the end, and especially with the fact that it was pretty decent up until that point. Like I was like, okay, this is not bad. Like I said, everything else was actually pretty spot on. The voices were great. The characters, the other characters that weren't the main Scooby cast, actually felt like Scooby Doo characters, like they would fit within the world. So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. They have great characters, and then they do that, and I'm just like, okay, this has ceased feeling like Scooby Doo. However, I would say go check it out because you might like it because not everybody is going to be looking at it the same way, and not everybody's going to be looking for the same things. And as Mole pointed out, he saw it with like his nephew, and his nephew loved it, and he likes it. And apparently, Mole and Stacy and Jim all like it, so you may like it too. Give it a try. And with the digital version that you get, if you get the digital version, you get that really awesome. Basically, it's almost like it's a mini movie. It's episode length. It's about 20 minutes. That Scooby Doo and the Scary Games. That is awesome. That blew my mind. I was like, yes, that is fucking amazing.
No
and
spoilers.
No, I'm not gonna spoil it. But it is more of the more modern Scooby Doo. Like if you look at the artwork for that, the animation, it's more the current animation, which helps. I'm not saying everything needs to be that style of animation because, like I said, I love the pup named Scooby Doo, which is completely not that style of animation. But yeah, it was more of the more serious Scooby Doo, but it had the elements of fun. It felt like Scooby Doo to me, and I loved it. So it's worth it for that alone. But yeah, the puppet thing was fun, and the music was decent. It's catchy, which is another hallmark of Scooby Doo. It always has catchy music. So despite the fact that I thought the song didn't quite fit as a chase song for Scooby Doo, it was catchy, so it worked. It fulfilled its purpose. And it wasn't a bad song. It was actually a good song. I like the song itself. So yeah, check it out. I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 10. Over to Jim.
Fair enough. Overall, I said I really like the production. I certainly think it's worth a watch. Go buy yourself or rent yourself the DVD. It's inexpensive in either case, or get it for free at your library, whatever. But give it a watch. It's a fun production. You can watch with the whole family, or if you're just yourself and you want to watch it, it's fun. If you're a big fan of a pup named Scooby Doo like I was, definitely worth a watch. Great fun. A lot of stuff brought in from that series. It's just a silly little adventure. It's 45 minutes. It's a little something to do for 45 minutes. It's fun, and it comes with the 2 bonus episodes, which are always fun to watch too. Old school.
Unless you get the digital one, which only comes with the one, and it's a different one too.
Right. Well, I like the fact
Give away bonuses.
Yes.
So now I kind of want the DVD so I can see the 2 bonus episodes. But yeah.
Well, it's the backstage rage, which is, you might remember the episode in which the gang ends up uncovering a smuggling operation. Or a counterfeiting operation being run at a circus, and they have to run to the owner, who's a puppet master.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Yeah, they did there. And the RoboPup one is it's a fake dog, so I guess that's kind of like a puppet, I guess. I don't know.
I would make the case your one, like my one, Marcus, actually has better bonus special stuff than like my nephew's or Jim's and stuff, because instead of just episodes you've already seen, it's a brand new special.
True, very true.
And it's about the London 2012 Olympics, which everything's better when it comes from England.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although I find it kind of interesting they don't call it the Olympics, they call it like the World Games or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, call it the Olympics. It's the Olympics, damn it.
It's probably so people didn't get confused with the Laugh Olympics.
Ah.
Perhaps.
God, I remember the Laugh Olympics.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that special. Everything was explained. Anyway, go ahead, Jim.
indeed. But yeah, overall, give this a watch. It's a lot of fun. I would give it 8.5, maybe a 9. I mean, it's just a really great special. It's fun to watch. Yes, maybe it has a few inconsistencies, but all you really need to know is it's a lot of fun. It's a silly little Scooby mystery. Enjoy the characters, enjoy the jokes, enjoy the comedy, enjoy the puppets. They're awesome.
Maximum funnage.
Pretty much. So there you go.
God, am I the only one when Stacy said that instantly flashed to like Shaggy covered in the Carnage symbiote?
I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, I'm the only one who thought Maximum Carnage when she said that. Okay, fair enough.
Shaggy never got the symbiote, though he did totally die in the Clone Wars.
Hmm.
No one, I'm guessing, no one here gets that, which is fair enough. No. In the Samurai Jack-looking Clone Wars, which was on Cartoon Network, one of the Jedi that runs out towards runs off towards General Grievous, looks exactly like and is voiced very similarly to Shaggy from Scooby Doo because it's on Cartoon Network. It's like a throwaway joke. So Shaggy gets butchered by General Grievous.
Nice.
Okay then.
And that hasn't been erased from continuity. Woo.
Nope.
Yet.
Yet.
We're not even going to get into Disney and how they're fucking everything up. But anyway, take us home, Jim.
That won't, because they said Clone Wars won't, because they can still sell Clone Wars merchandise and the TV shows and stuff, so yay.
Yep.
Clone Wars.
Indeed. Alrighty, well, thank you three for joining me. It was a lot of fun to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I will take us out here. We'll see you next time. Join us for some more of our upcoming reviews here on the X-Pound. A little later tonight, if you're a wrestling fan, we're going to be doing our usual Saturday Night X-Marks, so hang around for that.
And later this month, top 5 Scooby-Doo animated films of all time, hosted by, I believe, the only member of the X-Pound to successfully look like Waluigi 24/7.
I don't know exactly who that's supposed to be.
Jim!
Okay.
He looks like Waluigi. I don't know why.
I don't know about 24/7. Have you ever shaved, Jim?
If he shaved, he would cease to be the mustache guy.
Yeah.
Which his t-shirt is available right now of I'm a mustache guy.
Indeed. Also, I make the point that I don't think I own any purple clothing, but other than that.
Challenge accepted. I just need your address.
Ah.
And the funny thing is, Mole would do it too.
Oh, he would.
I'll get off Pew later.
Indeed.
There's a box with Waluigi clothes. He'd be like, Mole. But no, the 5 Scooby-Doo animated films, I thought this would be the perfect review to mention them.
It was. It was. Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm James Phoenix. We'll see you next time, folks, here on the X-Pound. Peace.